many of you have heard this particular phrase or something along similar lines? Can I say show of hands? Most of us. And how many of you have seen billboards, hoardings, posters, banners plastered all over the city with different educational institutes bragging about how many high achievers they have produced? A lot of us, right? But the fact of the matter is, despite all those so-called high achievers, our educational system is pretty rotten right now. Our educational institutes are not focusing on learning or educating. Rather, they're focusing on improving on how their students memorize. Only in the past 2 decades have things that were considered an afterthought before become a part of learning, integral part of learning for students. Before, it was a given that honesty, integrity, confidentiality, objectivity, that is proper thing. That is something you learn from your home. Those are the values that are taught to you. But now these are part of education, be it your professional line or be it any graduate or degree program that you may enroll into. Why is that? I'll tell you why. It's because we're focusing more on results. We're not focusing on learning. We want our children to be high achievers. We want our children to get A grades. We don't want anyone who gets 60% or 70% on passes. What will people say then? You're paying so much money in your tuition fee. Why is your child getting 60%, 65%? It's because no one is equal. And we, unfortunately, try to judge a fish on its ability to climb a tree rather than how it swims in the water. Our education system is focusing on mass-producing graduates. HEC reports state that over the past decade, an average of 400,000 people have entered the job market after graduating from various universities. 400,000 a year. A decade, that means 4 million people joining the workforce. But unemployment rates are very high. And innovation is very negligible. Now, in the past 4 or 5 years, number of leading universities have started incubation centers to foster a research and development mentality. However, if you would ask graduate of any leading institute, you can take any university or any leading professional institute for that matter, be it the one we're standing in right now or some other body. The first preference of every candidate would be to get a job in a large organization. And what does that do to the candidate? All that does is make them a cog in a huge machine where they're doing routine, mundane tasks over and over again. They don't have any decision-making power. And they end up going nowhere. And since I have a lot of conversations with leading recruiters as well as educationists and students as well, I found that there is a huge gap on what the industry requires and what our academies and educational institutes are producing. Huge gap. Professional qualifications like CA, CCA, CMA are rectifying to that to a certain extent by introducing their training programs, apprenticeship programs. So their candidates are learning on the job as well as studying. And I think most of us, being from a chartered accountant or financial professional background, we can vouch for that fact that finance graduates don't know anything except presenting. And we know everything except presenting, which is why we're standing here. So what's the way forward then? Education system is broken. Industry expects something else. In economies all over the world, academia and corporations work together. They establish research institutes, research initiatives. Research is not funded by government alone. It's also funded by corporations. Now, R&D is being carried out here in Pakistan as well, but it's more of an in-house thing, in-house development, and they don't encourage innovation. They encourage customization. Innovation is really frowned upon. I can cite a very personal example of how innovation is frowned upon. I'm doing my MBA from a leading institute. So, in order to get a degree, you need to prepare a final year project. And that final year project has to be something unique. So I approached the various mentors that were available in the institute that what should my project be? And they said a very contradictory statement. They said it should be something new, but it should have already been done. I asked them, what if it's something completely new? They said, no, it will be very hard. Then I asked them that the purpose and the title of the final year project, it should be research. Why are you frowning upon something new? And they said, well, the board might not like it and the panel will disapprove. So this is the learning environment that our students are getting. I'm not talking about just small institutes. These are leading institutes of the country. People are holding them up as benchmarks for the rest of the universities and candidates to follow. If the top tier universities are discouraging this, what will become for the rest of us? Going forward, the only matter how to resolve this is companies and academia must come together and encourage research, original thought, and innovation. I'd like to end up with this quote: teach a man how to fish, and before he eats the vehicle, over to you, Toastmaster.
Thank you, TM Murtaza. Our second speaker, but before I announce the second speaker, Moise, would you please take over the timing instrument with you? Our second speaker today is TM Fahim, and he is going to be evaluated by someone who is our VPTR, TM Aleem. TM Aleem, would you please explain the contents of Fahim's speech?
Yes, please. Toastmaster Fahim Kanani is a very good speaker and a very good member of our club. The purpose of his project is to present a speech on any topic, receive feedback, and apply the feedback to the second speech. And the purpose of this speech is for him to demonstrate that he has applied it already. So he had given a prepared speech earlier, and he received feedback and on that speech, and now he is going to deliver a speech after incorporating that feedback. So this is the second speech on of the project, and he will deliver a well-organized speech, right? He can choose the same speech if he wants, or he can present a new speech. It can be humorous, and it can be anything. And I would like you all to welcome Toastmaster Fahim Kanani.
Recently, I was occupied with my department's appraisal activity.
And from the last 2 years, I'm following a pattern of asking monthly questions, which I extracted from an article by Alison Collins back in 2015. And I also mixed them with my own requirements from the department. That's where the idea came into my mind that why don't I share these questions with this forum where leaders are born. So fellow Toastmasters and guests, today I'm going to share some questions that I ask my team members every month. So my first question is, how much you have been deviated from your assigned job description? And interestingly, I've seen the answers like 100% deviations. It actually happens. Are you agreed or not?
Yes.
It's very, very important to consider how the job descriptions of your team members are designed. We often give them a job description and demand all the work from them throughout the year, which was not written there. And this question actually give them the liberty to speak out, sorry, this is not my job. Instead of saying, yes sir, to every requirement. And my second question is, what the one thing you did last month that you're proud of? Literally they were blank. They even couldn't recognize their own achievement at the start. May I ask you, what you did last month that you are proud of? See, we often forget to pat ourselves for the job well done. But by asking this question once a month, will give them the liberty to build that sense of pride. And by answering this question, they will actually get a chance to show off their work. And you will get to know what your team members consider important. My third question is, if you were the head of department, what one thing you would do differently? And the answers were interesting. One said, I will call a weekly meeting. Another said, I'll send them on leave when they're sick. I'll do close monitoring. I'll keep the things simple. Flexible timings, etc. and etc. We always want our team members to be self-starters and to act like owners of their own domain. This question is a great way to give them that sense of ownership. And you will likely to get some amazing ideas from your team members. Because it gives them the opportunity to imagine if they were in control. My fourth question actually is, it's a twofold question, and that one is for you. What's your biggest challenge right now, and how it can be overcome? And to my utter surprise, one of my team members came to me and asked, sir, what are the internal controls and how they can be evaluated and validated? Oh. Everyone faces challenges at work. We need to act like coaches and be there to help them through whatever they are going through. Consistently asking this question will help them grow and become better at what they do. Now my last question is a jackpot for every leader. So my fifth question is, are there any projects that you would really like to work on if you were given the opportunity? The answers were, I want to go to the customers and ask them whether you have signed this balance confirmation yourself or not. I want to do tax audit, fixed asset assignment. And I was actually beefing up my next year's audit plan. Right? This is the idea actually. And for teams to be truly motivated at work, they need to be working on projects that they are passionate about. Help them to find their projects and passions by asking this question frequently. Now my last question from all of you is that, what is one thing that I should add here to improve my department further? Anyone?
Salary.
Discussing salary, right? Any other thing?
Work on their own feedback.
Your future plans.
That's a fantastic idea.
Future plans, I think.
Just ask them how the department work can be improved, and then work on their own feedback.
That's also amazing idea. And during this session, I've got the idea as well that why don't I ask this question from my team members, that what one thing that we should add here to improve our department, right? So to conclude, I just want to say that it's the people under you that are responsible for your success. Help them to improve, to help yourself grow. Over to you, Osman.
Thank you, TM Fahim. Sir Rashid, are you ready or we want after table topic session?
Okay.
You are ready?
Yes, he is ready.
He's ready.
Our final speaker today is TM Rashid Dastagir, and he is going to be evaluated by TM Murtaza Ghazi. TM Murtaza, would you please explain the contents of Mr. Rashid Dastagir?
Thank you, Dinesh. TM Rashid will be presenting project 1 of the storytelling manual. His objective is to tell a folklore that is entertaining and enjoyable for a specific age group. We use vivid imagery and voice to enhance the tale. Time is 7 to 9 minutes. Best of luck to Dr. Rashid. It's okay.
Sheikh, I am deserted. I am wounded. Relax. Calm down. Fellow Toastmasters and guests, Sheikh Ahmed and his friend Ali. In fact, Ali was traveling with the Sheikh Ahmed, who was leading his caravan. His caravan going from his city to another city for trading purposes. Sheikh was a big trader, and this time he was taking different kind of clothes and other things. And then they planned to buy things from other city to bring back to his city. Ali was traveling with Sheikh for first time. Ali was best friend of Sheikh, and he believes on Sheikh's skills because Sheikh is a very wise man. And then one day Ali was telling to Sheikh, my dear friend Sheikh, I always wish that one day I will travel with you because you are a very wise man. And I thought when I will travel with you for trading purposes, I will get my fortune. I am really grateful you have given me opportunity. And I hope when I will come back with you, I will be really a man of different fortune. The caravan used to travel whole day long and stay at night at appropriate places near somewhere near town where they can find some things for their use. One day when Ali at night, Ali went to his tent after meeting with Sheikh, having dinner with Sheikh, and he just checked